She only wants the same thing you wanted from women you had affairs with when you were married: thrills, satisfying her curiosity, and uninvolved, exciting sex. After a couple of nights or few weeks with you, she runs back to him. And even if it was 1,000 times better fucking than with him, she's motivated mostly by fear. She's not been prepared by her parents or the culture to become an independent, productive adult. She was never taught the skills or attitudes needed to grow toward independence and self-reliance. She has been prepared by birth for only one role. Even if you open her eyes for a brief blinding moment to the other possible choices, she is overwhelmed by the heretofore unknown real world and wants no part of it. She has none of the tools needed to live there. Even the semi-literate who watch Oprah and read People magazine know she has a 60% chance of ending up back in the real world after 3 years of marriage. The sad part is she will still be a frightened teenager inside with no job skills, no money, and 2 kids depending on her. Mary Ann used the phrase, "my ex-boyfriend," in our substantial first conversation. At the time, I only knew she wanted me to know she was available. As it turned out, she and Jimmy were just fighting again about his staying out all night, several nights a week. He decided to show her who wears the pants in this house and didn't come home for 2 weeks. She needed someone, me, to distract her from the pain and loneliness. After 4 dates in 7 days, 3 of them full of lusty sex she had never known, I called. She said simply, "I'm back to Jimmy. I can't go out anymore. Sorry." Epilogue. She got married 3 months later, had a baby, and was divorced within a year. She's pushing 160 and lives at her mom's with her kid. Jimmy was his name. In his honor, all boyfriends in this book are named Jimmy. He was and is typical. Understanding the leftover situation. She must sneak time with you, at first risking only a few minutes. If you're relaxed and fun and appear safe, she'll stay for a couple hours. Then she'll spend the whole afternoon in bed with you. Evenings are too dangerous. These young couples have an established pattern after dinner calls under some pretext to check on each other. She'll make a date for the entire evening when she's figured out how to explain why she won't be home, but she will stand you up without notice if he suspects anything or just happened to stop by her place. She will spend the evening with you when he goes to the mountains or desert with his buddies. An affair with her can last many months if she's brighter than average and has some innate courage. A duration of anything beyond 2 months requires counting from the day you two end up in bed until she really quits. There's no time deduction for the ins and outs of the affair on her part. She quits for a week, comes back for 2 days, quits forever, comes back for 3 weeks, and so on. Withdrawals and re-entries are brought on by her extreme feelings, which force her to re-examine her values. Conflict is sharp. Her goals are mutually exclusive. Get back on the track toward living happily ever after with Jimmy, or continue the side trip for a while with you down the road of orgasmic, exciting adventure and sex. Like the rest of us, she wants to have her cake and eat it too. To get a clear understanding of what she goes through, see Dawn's Recipe for Trouble later and date her. Man, I got a lot of compliments from women about that one. That chapter, or that recipe, I mean. An affair of any length will be mutually rewarding if you're ethical and upfront with her from the start. She learns about the real world and grows up much quicker. This wouldn't happen for years without you. In turn, she teaches you how to have fun and enjoy being carefree all over again. She gets smarter and older, you get smarter and younger. Such a deal, let me tell you. She's going back to Jimmy and become queen for a day after a night, a week, or a month. If it lasts longer than a few months, she'll realize she deserves much better than Jimmy and move on. If it's 2 intense, rewarding months, she starts wishing it could lead somewhere. Ethically, you must prevent this. It's hard to inject realism into a relationship once this stage is reached, unless the seeds are planted early. You're the one that has to do it. I talk about seeds and talk with her. String-alongs, boyfriends of convenience. She strings them along, but she's smart enough to know marrying this guy is a bad idea. They are both clinging to the corner of a security blanket while testing the waters of adult life. Also in this category are girls with any boyfriend they don't want to marry but keep for convenience. This young woman is independent. Either her parents taught her or she learned to be independent just to survive. but she learned self-reliance in parallel with conflicting values, stressing preparation for a role as wife and mother. She absorbs society's belief that her real value as a human being is ultimately measured in terms of how rich her husband is and how good of a mother she becomes. Even these, the best of the bunch, face contradictory objectives before meeting you. These goals cause confusing choices after meeting you, just like girls with leftovers. This young woman outgrew males close to her age by 19, and for certain after college. Even if she realizes how totally out of it boys are, she can't conceive of life without a boyfriend. So she gets an older man of, say, 27, like Randy Redporsh. After a few attempts, she realizes he and his contemporaries only want to make a temporary deposit in her sperm bank. The independent young woman knows, one, she doesn't want to marry the security blanket she's holding by a corner, although she'd love all that ceremonial attention. Two, young men 4 to 8 years older only use her. Three, boys don't have a clue what it's about. She wants to find out what it's really about. At the same time, part of her says she should get married and make babies. Another part of her says to be independent and make a life for herself. Faced with this dilemma, she's ready for you. But from her point of view, you may turn out to be a turkey or too much for her to handle. She's reluctant to burn her bridges. Besides, she'll have some functions to attend where you can't go. God forbid she can't possibly go by herself, especially on a Saturday night. The young woman with a string along announces him in terms implying she sees other people or wants to, starting with you. Something like, Jimmy's going to the desert this weekend, so I'm going to the Whittier College Gamma party and see what I can pick up. Or she just wears a promise ring and tells you with her body language and her eyes she is available. Sometimes she announces him in terms sounding like he doesn't really have one. As a worst case example, Donna said, Jimmy? Oh, one of the guys I used to date. She wasn't really lying. He was in prison. She felt so guilty for fooling around while he was in prison. She married him 2 weeks after he finished his sentence. Epilogue, he threw her out with nothing a year later after beating her severely. She got pregnant by the next guy she moved in with, trying to make him marry her. He left when she refused an abortion. At 24, she and her baby are living with her divorced sister and 3 kids. She didn't get as fat as Marianne, only 150 pounds. Donna started at 110, a dynamite 110, I might add. What a waste of life. Neither Donna nor Marianne were future rocket scientists, but they were both plenty smart enough not to do what they did. They made long-range decisions with emotions, not brains. Wanting to be queen for a day is indeed important and a powerful driver. Understanding the convenience situation. The affair starts out awkwardly. If she has not hinted or said she can't be seen with you, to save face, she pretends she's not sneaking time with you. The stress is enough to ruin everything on the launching pad. My solution is always to suggest out-of-the-way places and unusual times for initial dates. Like instead of having coffee at Starbucks here in Whittier, I suggest a Coffee Bean in Downey, about 3 miles away, different town, and very few Whittier people go there. A word of caution, never ask directly or indirectly if she minds being seen with you or why she can't make it for a date if she calls and begs off. Do not force her to admit what she does not want to admit. It's not important. These young women are teetering on adulthood, but aren't ready to dive in. They are prone to get neurotic quickly, but if you're relaxed and patient, things can settle down to a moderately long-term relationship of, say, 5 to 8 months. Just like the girls who have to steal time and sneak around in the early stages are much the same. However, a young woman with a boyfriend of convenience is braver and eager to get on with it, so events proceed at a far more rapid pace. It's about the same as with an unattached 27-year-old after the second get-together, except this young woman doesn't want to be seen with you. If you two are really enjoying each other, she too will want it to lead somewhere. Again, to be a stand-up guy, you must plant the same seeds early on so sanity can be restored more easily when this stage is reached. See the chapter Ethics. After an affair of a couple of months with you, she knows she's ready and able to make it on her own. She breaks up with Jimmy and moves into an apartment with a girlfriend. Without telling you, she continues to see Jimmy after he forgives her. But she only strings him along while dating you and others. In the end, she strings you along too. She's braver than the ones with a death grip on the security blanket, but no more honest. Neither knows how. You are her interim transitional boyfriend while she builds her confidence to live in the adult world. You're only a tour guide. Don't let that be demeaning to you or her. She needs your support while learning. Don't forget, she's teaching you a hell of a lot too. Yeah, I know, I didn't tell you about the third kind of boyfriend. He's explained in the right attitude. I didn't cover unannounced boyfriends either. I'm saving them for an explosive surprise later on. Even though you now understand her better, far better than she understands herself, you won't get anywhere until you understand one other person, yourself. What you don't know can and will hurt you. I'm living proof, as you will see and hopefully learn from. If you don't know why or doubt your sanity for wanting to date someone half your age, you'll never be able to do it. Step one is making certain you fully accept, believe, and thoroughly understand why young women are the best females on the planet. After that comes the hard part, being honest with yourself about what other motives you have.